Hello, everyone across the world. What a day this is. The debut of the Invictus Racing League on the Xbox. We're here in Abu Dhabi for round one of the IRL World Championship for the Xbox. Joined alongside me is Kendo. Kendo, how are we doing
I am
this
not
evening?
too bad. How are you? This fine evening.
Well, I am doing great, and I am looking forward to the next 20 laps of non-stop action. 28 laps will take us around this Yas Marina circuit. 21 corners for the 28 laps. We do have quite a track in store. Turn 5, always a great opportunity. So you head into the hairpin of Turn 7, followed immediately by the first of our two DRS straights here this afternoon. We're not expecting any rain. We're in the desert. Turn 8 is always an eventful place, as many overtakes can get done there. Just ask Nico Hulkenberg, who found himself on his roof at one point. As we head down into Turn 11 is much the same as you wind your way back around through sectors 2 and 3 and under the hotel, coming all the way back to the start-finish line. And Kendo, this track is fairly new, opened in 2009, but has provided us with many exciting scenes.
Yeah, it certainly has, considering it was, as we know, it's one of the night tracks. So it adds a bit more spice to the event. I don't know about yourself, but when I first seen this in on TV and everything, I was like, oh wow, why aren't there not more tracks? And then, as we well know, more tracks are about that change into night, and it's always nice to see a mixture of event times. That's for sure.
Well, we head into this race off the back of a preseason race that was full of action.
Certainly was.
HK taking that one. For the Red Bull, his teammate Big Lead not having the same kind of success. He'll be looking to rebound, nor did DJ Danny, who actually found himself retiring from that preseason race. As far as drivers in this round one, where everybody, for the first and last time this season, is on a level playing field, which team stands out for you here today?
As you know, last week was the first time I've seen quite a lot of the drivers. There are a few names that I am aware of, so I will personally be keeping an eye on them. The likes of Scartrix, Leclerc, Bigley, Ricardo is another one who I've actually raced alongside on a Friday night. Very quick driver. And Miles as well. He actually drives in the cockpit view, which is absolutely unreal. How he's able to do that at such intensity of this game. It really is quite cool to see on his streams, to be honest.
Well, in terms of the track itself, we are expecting a two-stop strategy here this evening, whether it be soft, medium, or those who want to risk it and go two stops on the softs and then do one stint on the mediums. And do you think we'll see the hard tire at all today? It is absolutely horrible around this track, and even the drivers saying as such.
I would suspect maybe one or two people who want to do is what we would call an alternate strategy and go for the one stop. But within this race, I don't expect a lot of that. Maybe if somebody wants to try and mix it up, or if, say, for example, a safety car comes in, then potentially we might see the made type of from transferring across onto the hard. But if the race pans out the way that we expect it to be, I don't foresee it, to be honest. But you never know in racing; anything can happen.
Well, as we wait to load in here, the timer is ticking down. Any teams in particular, any potential combinations of drivers do you think can really pull away and make a statement here tonight?
The two main ones that stand out for me is Big Lee and HK, DXT HK. I know how they race, so for me they're going to be a one to watch, especially for the Red Bulls, in my opinion. But again, as you've said at the start, everyone's on a level playing field, and potentially there's been a lot of practice, a lot of conversations between the two drivers within the teams. So let's see if they've worked out who's going to be pitting, when, where, how everything's going to pan out. Until it all unfolds in the first couple of laps, we won't know for sure.
Well, we are loading in here yet again, and I think the big thing about this track is that pole position gets the outside line, and heading into the first corner. It's only 305 meters down there, so everybody else is going to have to file in line. We could see a bit of turn one carnage. We're just waiting for a few drivers just to load into this lobby so we can get qualifying underway. They'll have 18 minutes to do so, and one of the drivers that we're waiting on, DXT Miles, is known for going on the hard tire to start qualifying. He may choose not to do so here. That would be an interesting choice.
Certainly is, considering a lot of the time some drivers, like myself, I like to do an installation lap, just like to see how the game feels in this server, because sometimes potentially the tyre wear and how you respond on the track can be slightly different, even though some people say, oh no, everything's the same, but some drivers are a little bit sceptical. That's why usually you'll see a lot of drivers do an installation lap, and then we'll come in and then we'll do a hammer time.
Well, as we mentioned beforehand, Miles looks like he's going to start on those hard tires for his first qualifying lap. As we mentioned beforehand, the hard tire is definitely not the ideal tire to be on at all in this race, but a timely safety car could see many go on the hard tires. There's a whole host of cars revving up those engines. Getting out to looks like an Alfa Romeo is the first one out of DXT Miles, right along with him.
Certainly is quite a number of guys just leaving the track as we speak, so it's going to be interesting to see how they end up spreading themselves out, because as we all know, if you're too close to the car in front, it can be a deterrent to you. If you get the right balance, you can get a nice tow from the car in front, and I'm suspecting this is what's happening at the moment with the two guys here. They're just trying to get a nice little tow ready for that home start straight.
Now, you mentioned that tow. It looks like many of the teams have gone out together, not the Alfa Romeo of DXT Miles, who says no thank you to that pylon right there. The two Red Bulls, as you can see on the mini-map, along with, well, maybe the Mercedes is actually going to get overtaken by the Williams. The two McLarens have come out together as well. Teams have stayed in. Actually, DJ Danny is now on his outlap, and Ricardo in that Ferrari has stayed in the garage for now, so maybe just going to wait for this track to evolve a little bit. Abu Dhabi really known for its track evolution, especially in that middle and third sectors. Is it worth coming out and doing a banker lap, especially at a track like this, or do you think those that have elected to just stay in the pits for now might have the 1000 IQ play?
Wait, if it was, like I was saying before, like we say, if it was me, I would try and protect the tyre that you want to use for your hot lap, that's for sure. So a lot of the guys that are going to run on the softs now, like as we can see, like I'm currently watching the likes of Big Lee crossing the line, Miles, Miles is on the hard, I should say, so I'm going to assume, like what I do, have a little banker lap, get themselves ready for the main event, which I'm sure he's going to go on to either medium or soft for his hot lap. I know that for sure.
I see him coming to the end of the second straight through This middle part of the track is always a very technical area. It's coming up to a bit of a track where if you get it wrong, you could find yourself easily in the wall. But he locks up a bit there, just in the rear. Does well to keep it on track. I don't think this is going to be his ideal lap time, especially being on those hard tires. Gets a little bit loose there. He's going to come around the penultimate corner and keeps it on the track. This lap will be valid. Alfa Romeo is going to lead us off with a 1:37.0. It's a good time to start from the Alfa Romeo. Just like that, we'll put Ewan in the Toro Rosso. It's going to beat him. Almost 2 seconds, just over a second and a half. We do have James F1, who was our pole sitter last week, and it's HK 1:34.6 in that Red Bull. See if we can get on board with James F1, and if you want to take us for a ride around Abu Dhabi when he comes back to the line. Both Red Bulls now within a tenth of each other. First and second, still plenty of time to go. Fairmoto moving himself up into third place. Kendo, if you want to take it away.
Most certainly is.
Around the Asbury.
So as you can see, one body with James F1. He's just setting himself up for a nice launch, ready to start his hot lap. Let's see if he gets a good traction coming out of his turn. This most certainly does. Throws his car into the left, holds it on into the right. Nice launch. Very aggressive in these turns from James F1. And as you can see, getting a very nice launch. DRS is just about to be activated onto this long back straight. Getting himself set for this sneaky little left-right chicane. Gets a little bit loose, not by much at the back. However, he keeps it nice and firm. Got to hold all the way to the right again. Nice tuck in on the left. He has time to find, that's for sure. However, bear in mind this is only his first lap, so still plenty time with 11 minutes 40 seconds left on the clock. Now this is the turn that a lot of drivers can get wrong, but he managed to get that braking point just right.
Oh, that is not what we wanted to see.
Certainly isn't. Don't know what was happening with the Williams driver there, just going really, really slow on the racing line, which was rather unfortunate.
The Williams of Leclerc is going to have a little bit of explaining to do for that one. That was well, it was a great lap from James. He had purple sector 1, but was compromised a little bit by traffic going into the middle sector. Meanwhile, the Renault of DJ Danny has split the two Red Bulls with Murphy now, who's coming out on the medium tires, and the other Alfa Romeo, he's going to be looking really help his teammate Miles, who's actually retired on those hard tires. So a few interesting strategy calls so far from Miles, going out on the hard tires. Right now he sees himself in 13th, but nobody else on the bottom just below him has even set a lap. We'll actually go on board now with Sir Sharks in the Racing Point, who is going to have to make up for his teammate's incident. At no fault of James, he actually purples that middle sector. As things stand right now, it's HK from Danny, from Lee, from Rimac. So Red Bull, Renault here so far, and that could be the tale that we have through most of the season. It's a great turn there, very late on the brakes, but able to hold it through.
And just a bit of trackside information coming through on the string by Jamie29. Apparently, Les ended up having low fuel, which is potentially why he got caught in the area that he was with James.
So Sharks promotes himself up into P4, 3/10 ahead of the Renault of Rimac. Who else do we have? The McLarens running right next to each other at the moment. 9th and 10th between Mecca and Lil 8. It's going to be interesting to see how these McLarens do in these conditions. Very new to the league. They'll be looking to get themselves on the right foot. Meanwhile, Fairmoto is going to look to improve on his 6th position. He's actually done very well to get himself into that 6th position. I'm just wondering, Kendo, if the strategy from Miles is to get fresh tires, get a safety car here and there, and promote your way up through the pit stops.
There's every possibility, and if so, it would be a very risky strategy to do that. But sometimes you've got to, as I would say, speculate to accumulate, and sometimes you just got to take that chance, and that's exactly what he's doing tonight. Let's see if it pays off. It'll be an interesting strategy to watch.
As you were speaking of that, Scartrek saying the Haas actually goes 5/10 quicker than HK. HK now on another lap of his own on the soft tire. Surely looking to improve on that time and build off of his very well-run preseason race. This looks to be nearly spot on. He runs ever so slightly wide there. The track limits are very lenient coming out of that corner. Can he improve on his 134.6 as he comes across the line? Will he be able to do so? No, he cannot. Possibly some mistakes were made there. DJ Danny is actually on the back straight now. We'll be looking at him to really have a go at that pole position. Rimac also out on track now as we approach under 7 minutes to go. Some possible lull in the action could be ahead of us for the next 3 or 4 minutes until everybody comes out on track. Tries to get a better time. DJ Danny just peeling out of the way. The Toro Rosso down that second DRS straight.
Certainly was. And that's what you need to do in these sorts of things. If you know you're not on a hot lap, you get out the way, which is exactly what he did. Let Liverpool Ewan and the Toro Rosso get on with his hot lap. And I'm just quickly jumped on board. It looks like he's actually made a mistake, Liverpool Ewan, just as a bit of information. So it looks like he's potentially starting his hot lap once again.
I'm going to jump on with Rimac, who's already on his lap. He's just come through the first chicane that splits those two straights. DRS wide open, the drag reduction system in that rear wing. Gonna help him get about 8 to 9 miles an hour more down the main straight than he would normally have. Going through sector 3 now is a tricky bit right in this section, as we've mentioned before. Does well to keep that one on the track, and actually does well to hold that one together. It's a little bit wide there. Might have lost the back end. As he crosses the line, can he improve, get himself into the top 5? Doesn't look like he will. Still about 2/10 off of Sir Sharks in that 5th position. Meanwhile, his teammate is heading down that second DRS straight himself. We've got under 5 minutes to go. If you're looking for movers, Kendo, who are we potentially looking at to really spring up and light up these charts?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Liverpool spring a surprise, because I know that fact that I have raced alongside him, and I know he can bring a surprise or two when he is on his A game. But again, will he be able to do it with the amount of people? As we say that, he's just jumped to P2 with a 1:34.5. Is Danny
DJ
is just about to cross
Danny
the
about
line.
to cross the line. Is going to come P3. So the Haas and the Toro Rosso are putting on some great showings at the moment. Red Bulls have been pushed down to 4th and 5th. They were 1-2 at one point in this qualifying session.
Yeah,
Under 4 minutes now.
it certainly is.
And it could be time for everybody to get in, get a new set of boots, start coming back out. And what do you think the latest you can come out is to get the most evolved track?
At the very, very maximum, I normally come out myself at around about 3 minutes, because what I tend to do is make sure that as soon as I cross the line, I'm then taking my time, making my way into the pit, because sometimes when you are under AI, sometimes the AI degrades your tyres a lot quicker, even though you don't realise it. So you've got to make sure for the race you're thinking one step ahead, protect your tyres, but sometimes drivers aren't necessarily aware of that.
Well, Sir Sharks has promoted himself up into 2nd place, almost the polar opposite of where his teammate will be starting. We saw that incident out of Sector 3. Actually, 2 Red Bulls are doing exactly what we thought we might see a lot of. HK is going to give Lee the tow around, trying to get him and his teammate into those top 2 starting positions.
100%. And this is what a lot of teams don't necessarily used to seeing, which is quite unusual. Considering if it was myself in a team alongside you, I would be trying to say, look, who's going to get the tour, when we're going to do it. And I'm surprised not a lot of teams have taken up this tactic, if I'm perfectly honest with you. I'm really surprised.
Seeing them now, and they've actually it looked like they were going to switch at one point, but HK has gone back ahead of his teammate. Follow them around, hopefully at the racing point if Sir Sharks doesn't quite get in the way. He should be peeling off into the pit lane. They're going to actually slow down here a little bit. Is late. He's actually going to retire from this session. He looks like he did so in the pit lane, so no issues there. What can the Red Bulls do to move themselves up in the grid? About a minute to go. Plenty of drivers on their out lap now. The Williams of Faramoto is actually going to start his lap as well, along with his teammate Leclerc. Come out, and they are going to give each other the slipstream as well. So, predominant strategy here that we're noticing. HK can't quite improve on his Sector 1 time. He's going to be giving that slipstream to Lee behind him. Might be a little bit too far behind Lee. Seems like he's falling back ever so slightly.
Yeah, as you would been on board with HK, I jumped on board with Big Lee just to see if they were using that tour, but straight away at the start, as you'd notice, Big Lee had a massive gap to HK, so maybe Lee was expecting to catch HK, but it hasn't been the case.
Through that middle sector. So we have a yellow flag just for a slow car. Qualifying has ended. Scartrix on preliminary pole. Their Sharks couldn't beat him. Ewan couldn't beat him. Danny couldn't beat him. He's trying to improve his time, but HK and Lee are going to be right on his heels. He'll be next to cross the line, as will the Williams in behind. Can HK get himself on to pole position? He only gets third. Where will Lee end up?
Backed off Lee.
It's backed off his lap, so he'll be in 6th place. Fairmoto. So the 2 Williams actually getting into the top 10. For Romeo, next across the line of Murphy, sees himself go into 8th position. Ricardo's actually invalidated his lap. Next across will be the Renault of Rimac. He bumped himself into the top positions. Nobody can now peel in and be satisfied with a 7th place. Doesn't look like anybody is going to be able to top that Scartrix time of a 1:34.1, 2/10 faster than Sir Sharks. That is not the ideal line there from the McLaren. One of the Toro Rossos usurped that time. Can Liverpool Ewan actually already finished? We're only just waiting on Maniac as he comes around the final corner. Can he weasel his way? He's going to back out of his lap as well. And that is how qualifying will end. Will be Scartrix on pole for Haas. What a huge boost to get ahead of the likes of HK and Danny for the Haas team.
Most certainly is. So we're just waiting, as I say, for Rimac's car just to put himself into it, and then properly, and then we will be officially revealing the results. You can see on screen what it will be. However, the full series of results will be published shortly, because again, have any people potentially picked up 5 grid penalty? I don't think there has been. We'll see on the screen in just a second. So,
looks like it's
definitely.
It is Scartrix and Sir Sharks on the front row, followed closely by HK and you and DJ Danny and Big Lee at Renault and the Red Bull. We could be seeing a lot of them. The Red Bull in a Renault sandwich as Rimac is going to start 7th with Murphy alongside him. Lil 8 in the McLaren is going to be followed closely by the 2 Williams of Leclerc and Fairmoto. Leclerc in the Ferrari, Mecca in the McLaren, it's Maniac, Hardman, Ricardo, Mats West, Jamie 29, and Miles will follow him. James not being able to set a time, crashing out during qualifying. And hopefully,
very unfortunate incident. Be unfortunate.
So we will get started here. There's an issue in the preseason race with readying up too early. That does result in time penalties. If you remember, a few drivers readied up just a bit too quickly. So hopefully nobody does so here and shoots themselves in the foot. Judging by this grid, are you expecting Scartrix to really start to pull away from this back? He had almost 0.2 of a second to the car behind.
Most certainly is. And by the looks of things, everyone has, as you mentioned about last week, read the rules and made sure that no one is pressing that ready to go button, because as you well know, penalties will incur. So it goes to show what the fear of penalties puts into drivers. And as we say that, Illy has just pressed A.
Well, I don't know if they were given the go button. They might have, they might not have. Trying to figure that one out. It looks like it could be shape. So we count that one down. I don't know. Looks like we will be ready to go. I don't think there's going to be any issues with that. So as we go around on this formation lap, top 10 obviously, all starting on the soft tire along with Fairmoto in behind his teammate. But if there's one driver who really out of qualifying has really caught your eye? Who would that be?
For me personally, I quite like the position of the two Red Bulls, to be honest with you. Very close together on, and they could potentially be able to work together, be able to get a good finish position. So to me, HK did a very impressive time. However, can the likes of Scartrix and Sir Sharks get a good start and not allow HK to come back? Because HK, I do know, has a very good start on him when he's on his day. That is for sure. So one to look out for.
As we watch for them, as we mentioned beforehand, 305 meters is all it is from pole position to turn 1. So not many overtaking opportunities, especially for the likes of Sharks and HK. The outside line is actually preferred on the start down that main straight. Open up that corner as much as possible. Hopefully everybody keeps it clean. The other ones starting on the mediums: Leclerc, Mecca, Maniac, Ricardo, Mats, and Jamie. So both Mercedes and both Ferraris starting on the medium tire. Qualifying outside of the top 10. They have the option to do that. The other Haas of Liam down in 15th is starting on the soft tires, as is Miles and James, who didn't even have an opportunity.
Now, the fact you've just been saying about Miles on the soft tyre is very surprising, considering he's all the way down at the back there. I would have thought he would have tried to do the alternate strategy and try and go longer into the race. However, he must have his reasons. So let's see how he gets on at the start of the race. The other drivers in front of him on the mediums.
Well, as they form up on the grid, we await the first lights to come on the Xbox for the Invictus Racing League. Scartrix takes pole in the race. That sequence begins to calm. We have 4 lights, 5 lights. As Jamie's jumped the start, it's lights out, and away we go. The Haas gets a terrible start and is immediately overtaken by Sharks. A horrendous start from the Haas driver. He's already under attack from Danny and HK, already on his heels. Sharks has already pulled a 0.4 of a second gap to the Haas driver. They come down through the S's. We have a Mercedes off into the wall. Both Mercedes are already at the back of the pack. They come down into the hairpin. Moto gets past his teammate Murphy, already up into 10th place from that 19th position. The strategy is working so far. Is it Sharks from Scartrix, from Danny, from HK, from Ewan, from Big Lee, Rymac, James, Fairmoto, and Murphy are your top 10 as of now. Lee is actually going to be fighting with the Toro Rosso through the chicane. No DRS as of yet. If he's going to get a move done, he's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. As Rymac gets past James, gets past Fairmoto and Lee as well, and they go 3 wide down into the chicane as the Red Bull and the Renault go side by side. The Red Bull's going to win that battle. The Renault coming across the end of that chicane into the left-hand corner. It looks like Scartrix is starting to reel in Sharks once more. We have yellow flag in sectors 2 and 3. It looks like it is for Liam Hardman, who has fallen all the way to the back of the grid. Mecca picks up a 5-second penalty as he falls back down the grid. Many incidents so far. Miles is out into 13th as well, and Mecca is actually retired from the session. You didn't want to see that if you're McLaren, and things can't go any worse if you're McLaren or Mercedes at the moment. Meanwhile, at the front, Sharks has a half a second lead over Scartrix. Danny is closing in on the Haas quite quickly in that Renault. 3/10 now is the gap. We still don't have DRS. We have a Mercedes in the pit lane of Jamie 29, who started on those medium tires. He's going to go onto the softs and look to really push and catch back up to the pack. Another driver having an incident early on. Liam Hardman has actually stayed out on track. 10 almost 11 seconds behind is the Haas. It's just not going through the hairpin. So Sharks has actually gotten past the Haas here. Now we have a big train of Sir Shark, Scartrix, Danny, and HK all within about a second of each other. As James actually is going to get all the way up to 5th place now, starting from back of the grid. 2 Racing Points having a phenomenal start. DJ Danny, once again, all over the back of that Haas, but can't find his way through. DRS will be enabled on the next lap. Intense separates HK from Danny. Actually, that pursuit of Scartrix in the Haas ahead, and as I say that, it closes the gap down to about 0.3 of a second. In that Renault might just be a little bit better. Meanwhile, Leclerc and Ricardo racing right next to each other's fastest laps are being set like crazy. James is a 39.7. Again, 7.77. DRS now enabled as we head up through the S's for the 3rd lap. We've had plenty of action so far in these first few laps. We have a Ferrari in the pit lane of Ricardo. Could DRS come into play here? Murphy weasels himself back up into 9th place. He was in 6th place at one point. DRS train really starting to form from about 1st to 6th at the moment. Scartrix is going to use DRS to get past the Racing Point. He has the move done well ahead of the chicane. Yes, even to 1st place, kind of an action-packed first 3 laps so far.
Most certainly is, and the fact if you have a look at the current movers, because bear in mind James F1 did jump the start, he has gained, as it currently stands, by assuming he'll have to pit because of his jump start, he's moved up 15 places, but the biggest gain out of the people that didn't jump the start was Miles, who looks like he's had an incident.
Ooh, Miles has gone off. Does he have wing damage? Looks like he does have a bit of damage on that Alfa Romeo. He's just his whole wing is completely gone. So surely virtual safety car is out. So that will allow maybe the Alfa Romeo of DXT Miles to get into the pit lane and get maybe a pit stop on discount. 21 seconds is the pit stop penalty around here. What that means for James is he can't serve his drive-through. He has that drive-through penalty for jumping the start. He can't serve it under a virtual safety car.
Yeah, I know. So I would have assumed if he wasn't, this virtual safety car hadn't come into effect, he would have actually been coming in that lap. But the fact, as you rightly say, with the virtual safety car being deployed, that has in effect neutralised and stopped his strategy, and potentially he's going to lose quite a lot of places because of it.
Well, plenty of drivers came into the pits, the likes of HK, Sharks, Little 8 in the McLaren, Rimac, Fairmoto still in the pit lane, Miles still getting his wing changed. Many of those that started on the soft tire, he's closing in on the Toro Rosso. Should have DRS down the back straight here, and we'll try and get that move done. They're wheel to wheel. DRS in effect. Will Lee have the move done before the corner? It does indeed. He outbreaks the Toro Rosso. Bull up into 4th place. As we mentioned before, those soft tires being dispatched quickly by most in the top 10.
It most certainly is, and the fact that you can now start to see drivers have changed, as you say, onto the mediums. I fully expect them to have to pit once again, but potentially trying to go all very, very long stint on their mediums and potentially pull themselves back into the race, but it's going to be very difficult at this point, and they might be hoping for a safety car, which hopefully it won't happen, but it's something that drivers who have had a trackside incident will be kind of praying for.
Well, James has come to serve his drive-through. Let's follow him and see where he comes out on track. He's already fallen down into 10th place, now 11th place. His teammate Sir Sharks might get ahead of him, but he won't. He'll actually come out right behind TXT HK in that Red Bull, who has already made his stop for a set of medium tires. Ricardo actually setting the fastest lap now, the 1:39.4. He needs to get into the top 10 in order for that point to take effect. Let's get back with Liverpool Ewan. He's resuming his battle with Lee. Is this a scenario where Lee just can't make a 1 second gap to get out of DRS range?
I'm going to guess it certainly is, unless somebody makes that mistake and allows the driver to pull away. I fully expect each other and both drivers to potentially not necessarily fight against each other, considering it's so early in the race, but use each other as a DRS train in effect. It's like swapping one for the other, which it is very early on, which I'll suspect that's what they're trying to do.
We have a three-way battle going on for 9th place. As you just saw the Mercedes run extremely deep into that corner, as we've mentioned before. If you get it wrong, it can be disastrous. Leclerc was forced off the track, and it actually opened up the door for James to say, "Thank you very much, Mats. You just earned me 2 positions in 1 corner." HK setting a fastest lap in that Red Bull. He's moved himself up into 7th place. They were nearly 3 wide heading into that turn 18, but ended up sorting themselves out as now the Williams has actually gone around through the S's the way he has. Doesn't look like he's taken any damage. He's done well to keep it out of the wall, but you can see it already, Kendo. Those that stayed out under the virtual safety car on the soft tires are really starting to have a hard time.
Well, certainly is, considering, as we've talked about, with the being in the desert, it's going to be quite a hot track to be on, and as we notice, hot tyres run at very, very hot temperatures anyway, so the heat of the track is going to make it a whole lot worse, so the tyre deck will be unreal in this track. So I'm expecting, especially with him spinning there, his tyres are going to be screaming at him right now.
Well, 2 more drivers that haven't pitted as Danny goes just wide there. DJ Danny has taken the lead as Liam Hardman is now out of this race. Not entirely sure how that happened. We've been riding on board with DJ Danny, who has just taken the lead, is now going to head into the pit lane. So Renault deciding 6 laps are all these soft tires can do after being used on qualifying. Scartrix falling in as well. Everybody who didn't pit is now coming in. But I would assume Maniac be in the lead of this race. The medium tire going on for most of the drivers. Where will this place Toro Rosso? He's currently in the lead of this race. Kendo 6 laps on the mediums. You see him extend this, try to stay out of the DRS, and really, actually, virtual safety car somewhere.
Contact.
Didn't pop up.
Contact with VHK there.
We have a Mercedes that has gone around and hopefully doesn't come back on track. That was nearly a collision with the Renault of Rimac there. Got a great restart under the virtual safety car. HK being one of them, getting past Danny, who's just pitted for fresh medium tires. This could be a battle that we watch all season long. HK, Danny, and Scartrix all fighting for that 2nd position. Danny using DRS to get past the Red Bull. Meanwhile, this is only helping Maniac get away. He's built himself a 1.1 second gap at the front. That is closing quickly as Danny on those fresh medium tires starts to close in on him. He is gaining mounds of time on the Toro Rosso, who gets a little bit loose there. Will that open the door for the Renault to come through? It's now under 0.3 of a second. They are all now breathing down the neck of this Toro Rosso. How long can Maniac hold on to that lead? Will it become the ultimate strategy as Danny is going to pull out wide here. Can he get past Toro Rosso into turn 1? gonna go side by side. He doesn't have the move done yet. Maniac still holding on, has that inside line, and actually compromises Danny through there as HK is gonna have a look at the Renault. They're gonna go side by side yet again.
This is intense.
As HK does well to get the move done, but runs to the outside of the hairpin. He's still in second place. We're all gonna have DRS. HK, because of Maniac holding that outside line, he's actually gonna have the better run with the slipstream. We might have a four-way fight into this hairpin. Toro Rosso gets overtaken. He has the inside line. They nearly make contact. The two Red Bull teams nearly coming together. Somehow Maniac stays out on top, but he doesn't any longer. The lack of DRS proving fateful in that, and is overtaken by all three drivers. HK, Danny, and Scartrix getting back to their positions they once were. The big thing to note, HK is on 4 lap older times. Mercedes now, Jamie 29. Actually going to retire in the S section. We won't have a safety car as of yet. It doesn't seem that way. Looks like Danny actually gets past, and those fresher tires kind of seeming to really come into play here.
It most certainly is, and the fact that, as everyone knows, as soon as you get your tyres into the optimum zone, which I'm going to assume HK will start to have the tyres in that peak condition. However, I'm going to assume in the next couple of laps, Danny can keep his cool, and in control. I fully expect in the next couple of laps Danny to start to try and pull away using every bit of fuel in the ERS that he has down his back straight. But let's see how he pans out here.
2 Toro Rossos are wheel to wheel as Maniac just kind of shows you in the outside of the track, but they will all have DRS going down this main straight. But Maniac has been passed by 5 drivers getting in front of him since losing the lead. Make that 6 drivers now, as his teammate gets past. Is the Alfa Romeo on the softer tires is going to look to get past. They go side by side. If we lost DJ Danny from the session, I hope that is not the case. He's able to come back. That will almost surely promote HK to the lead as Murphy moves himself into 7th place. So starting 19th and getting into 7th place. A great drive so far, nearly 10 laps in. As you see the disconnected car of DJ Danny starting to fall back down the field. It's certainly going to need another invite, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Scartrix trying to make up that ground. As the lead moves himself into 3rd place, courtesy of DJ Danny's disconnection. We haven't seen him come back yet. Hopefully that is not going to last too long, but we know at the pace of DJ Danny, as he actually does just now come back, we know he is certainly a driver that is able to put the pedal to the metal. Scartrix is going to have a good run out of the S section through the chicane. Can he get the traction right? Can he get the power down out of the hairpin to have a little look at DXT? HK is right on his gearbox. And get the move done inside for the slipstream. He needs to be careful now, because if he gets this move wrong and gets held up, he has another Red Bull waiting in the rings. He takes the outside, which quickly becomes the inside. A great bit of overtaking there from the Haas. Scartrix now back into the lead of this race. Our Pulsar regaining the lead once more. Meanwhile, DJ Danny has gotten around Murphy after his short disconnection. Actually, HK is going to retake the lead of this race. Out 4 or 5 lead changes already here, 10 laps in.
And most certainly is, because HK took the opportunity of that second DRS zone to get round the outside of Scartrix, which allowed that overtake to take place. And as you can see, Big Lee is starting to gain on these front 2 here. This is quite a familiar battle within the F1 scene. Scartrix, HK, and Big Lee's have wanted a piece of that action as well.
Scartrix now 3 8.5 tenths behind. He's actually closed that gap. The slipstream so powerful here around the Yas Marina circuit. Completed 10 laps from the 11th currently. Skytrix, our pole sitter, has lost the lead, but only sees himself in second place. But the two Red Bulls are starting a bit lower down the grid than they would have liked. Find themselves in first and third, so a double podium at the moment. See Sarah Sharks, who qualified second, down into fourth place. Mercedes of Matt's now in the pit lane. This battle for the leads just seems to be never ending. As Ewan closed that gap for just a second, to about 0.2 of a second, as Leclerc is going to have a little look at Maniac as well. Can he get the move done? They go side by side through the chicane, but a double dose of DRS for the Ferrari might be just a little bit too far back to get a move done. He has a little look. He's going to pull back in and take the racing line to fight another day. Scartrix at the front has closed that gap yet again to HK. 5 cars in the same shot there, showing 6, 7 cars now in the same shot. But Murphy on the softer tires is benefiting from that extra grip that the softer compound gives him. DJ Danny falling all the way to 6th place after leading this race at 1 point. Leclerc has gone into the pit lane, getting off his starting tires, and we'll see if we can follow him to see where he'll come out of the pit lane. Tires will be going in. It'll be another set of medium tires, so he will be needing to pit yet again. Potentially, do you think it's for the soft tire?
I think it's for, well, if I have a little look, just confirm Leclerc's pitted on the medium, so it's looking like he is wanting to try and stick it out until the end. However, coming on lap 12 of 28, they will be very much wanting to scream, so if he has good time management, potentially go to the end, but we'll soon find out. As we're still on board with the front guys, Scartrix goes down the inside.
Just they don't make contact there. 7 cars all within 2.5 seconds of the leader. This train seems to be never ending, but this race is completely up for grabs at the moment. It's actually now Big Lee is going to get himself into second place, and he might try to play a few games there at Red Bull and try to hold up this pack with Lee and let HK get away. As you see there, 6/10 separates the 2 Red Bull drivers, first and second. That gap from 7th place to the leader, about 2.8 seconds. Rimac picking himself up, penalty not the day that the Renaults had in mind. It seems as Scartrix all over the gearbox of that Red Bull. Further down the track, the 2 Ferraris have not had a great day so far, qualifying well. The race pace seems to just be a miss here so far. Ricardo having to make that early pit stop on the second lap resulted on him getting a new set of tires. But here we go, DRS down the main street yet again, and this DRS train seems to be never ending as the Red Bull and the Haas go wheel to wheel. Scartrix just pulls out of that. Well, Liverpool Ewell's gonna have a little look and the Haas, and he's around, and HK's around. They've come together. HK has damage. Who else has damage as well? Missing a little bit of that left wing. Is Big Lee. Was it the 2 Red Bulls that came together?
I'm not quite sure what happened. From my point of view, it looked like he would, like from the side on view with the HK, so I didn't quite see what happened on from that point of view. It was a weird camera angle. All I seen was HK completely spinning himself round, and that's completely threw their strategy well out the window. And because of that, HK hasn't lost 3 places to where he started. It's a very unfortunate incident, that.
Meanwhile, the man who was leading this race for some time disconnected from the session and rejoined down to P6 has taken the lead of this race due to that incident. So great driving there from him, and I'm interested to see if any more drivers are caught up in that incident. Does anybody else have wing damage?
We'll certainly have a look.
Maniac is doing a great job. 13 laps now on those medium tires. So he might be trying to take those to the hard tires and do a one-stop strategy, which isn't typically preferred around here. Take that one to the end. We've only had a virtual safety car so far, so a lack of incidents has provided some great racing here. Scartrix, our pole sitter, he finds himself about half a second behind the current leader of the race is HK. Starting to get overtaken now by those that don't have that wing damage. HK actually gets a great run out of the chicane. We'll have DRS on Liverpool Ewan. Scartrix actually is going to take the lead of the race, and this battle for the lead doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. About 10 seconds separates 8th to the lead, so just showing the competitiveness of this entire division in this top 10 is at its maximum at the moment. Liverpool Ewan had himself a little bit of a go at HK and his sister team in that Toro Rosso. HK starting to spread that gap, but just as I say that, gets put down yet again. HK surely probably going to want to pit at some point to fix that wing damage.
Well,
interested to hear from either.
Funny you should say that. It's not actually HK that has the damage, it's his teammate that has the wing damage. So because of that, the front 6 are all fine apart from Big Lee, who has lost his front end left plate.
Will surely be hampering his lap times. Is looking at sector times here, Lee in that 5th position to his teammate is about 0.2 of a second slower through that sector 1. So it'll be interesting to see, what do you think the 2 Red Bull drivers are going to say right? We have another incident. Liverpool Ewan actually gets past HK, who as they make contact, and now HK that didn't have damage before does have damage now, and the virtual safety car has come out. I don't think it was for that incident. It might have been for something farther down the field, but now both Red Bulls with front end plate damage. And what was looking as a very strong result in the span of about 3 laps has completely gone downhill. The virtual safety car is no more. The green flag waves once again.
He is, but like you were saying about the front end plate, coincidentally, it's both on the left side. As we can see, Big Lee has now just gone into the pits. I don't know if his teammate will follow suit. Doesn't look like it. So potentially, I'll keep an eye on Matthew to see what he goes on. Looks like he's going onto the mediums just to inform the guys in the stream.
With Lee, he's going to go onto the medium tires as well. I believe that is his 2nd set of mediums. I don't think. We can check here real quickly. That's his 2nd stop. So if his 1st stop was on softs, what he qualified on, so he is good to go to the end of the race. He's going to have to make up a few positions. He's fallen all the way down into 13th position. HK fighting his way back into that 4th position, but a name that we haven't mentioned in quite some time of the Racing Point of Sir Sharks, who has found himself in 3rd place. That incident early on and dropped down the fields. The 2 Red Bulls again are having a go at it. The Toro Rosso and the Red Bull is now James F1, who started last on the grid, jumped the start, had a drive-through penalty, is all the way up into 5th position. So the Racing Point's really starting to come alive here in the back half of the race.
Most certainly has, because as you say about starting from the back, the biggest gainers, as you rightly said, is James F1. He's gained 15 places from starting from the back, getting that jump start, which was very unfortunate. Make that he's bouncing between 15 and 16. And another driver that has done really well is Miles. He's jumped 12 places from being at the back, and he started on them soft tyres. A really good race.
We have another round of pit stops. DJ Danny going on another set of medium tires, so he is good to go until the end. Rimac, his teammate, will actually get past him. He's actually going to fight this one out. Are they, the Renaults? They go wheel to wheel. And Rimac on those older tires just going to let his teammate, who's on those fresh medium tires, go through. Sir Sharks also pitted during that middle round of pit stops. So it is Scar Tricks from James, from Danny. His teammate Rimac behind him and Murphy are your top 5 as of right now. Is actually McLaren the late sets new fastest lap of 138.4, so doing well. At least farther down the field, hasn't been the position he wants to be in, but if anything, he knows he has the pace to equal some of the drivers at the top of the field. Murphy now is closing that gap to Rimac. As you can see there, Rimac actually runs wide here. Will that open the door for the Alfa Romeo? Rimac doing great defensive work, doesn't allow the Alfa Romeo to get past him this time, and what that's doing is it's now built a...
I thought he was going to spin Rimac there. Sorry to interrupt, boys. Murphy clipped the back left tyre of Rimac, however, it was very good respect from each other. Murphy backed off to allow Rimac to keep the position. So,
and a great hold-up job there, as you were mentioning, from Rimac, who peels into the pit lane. Murphy now 3.7 behind DJ Danny. Neither driver has to stop again. Scartrix has actually stayed out on those 11-lap old tires. It's 21 seconds is what a pit stop requires around here. 16.7 is that gap currently actually closing, so Scartrix needs to make the call himself on when he feels he needs to come into the pits and take his race to the end. Ricardo pitting as well onto fresh softs, looking to find his way into the top 10. Rimac coming out on the fresh mediums into 12th place.
Most certainly is, and the fact is, I assume Scartrix will be pitting within this lap, but again, strategy might come into it. Will he want to try and extend their mediums and try and go on to the softs? Very much doubt it, with the way that how I know he likes to drive. I fully expect him to come in as I'm driving on board. I can confirm he's staying out, so it's again seeing what happened, considering we're on board here currently with still the battle of James and Liverpool, so it's going to be interesting to see how well James can defend at 6th place.
We have under 10 laps to go, 9 to be exact, and that gap is closed from 16.7 to 14.7 in a hurry. Let's see if I can follow along with some of these sector times to see how quickly actually James F1 is set a purple 3rd sector there, so those medium tires in the Racing Point really starting to come to life. Everybody ahead of them has already made their stops and is good to go, except Scartrix, who might just try to stick this one out. It's actually lost 0.4 of a second to DJ Danny in the first sectors. Moto actually gets past HK. HK is going to have another go at him, actually get DRS down the main straight. So Fairmoto, another driver that has yet to pit in that Williams for their last set, gets passed by the Ferrari of Leclerc as well. Leclerc doing well to get himself into the top 10, salvage a few points for Ferrari. Meanwhile, Sir Sharks pulled into about half a second of Murphy, car in front. So the Racing Point says Leclerc is actually retired from the session. I don't know where that took place. Did it take place in the pit lane? It looks like it may have. He's coming out yet again. Surely that's just his bot car, and I don't know if that will force a safety car. Hopefully it doesn't, because we've had a lot of great on-track action. Miles falling farther down the field in that Alfa Romeo into 10th place, and hanging on to that last points position is Miles. Still watching this battle at the front of Sir Sharks, who's actually lost a little bit of time to Murphy through the S section, up the hill and back down yet again. Penalties are really starting to fly all over the place. The main thing is the front two don't have a single penalty. Everybody else down to HK all have 3 seconds of penalty. So could that come into play, Kendo, do you think, later in this race, especially if we get a late safety car?
Or 100%. It's all about, as you say, keeping it clean on the track, not making any mistakes, because end of the day, if you make a mistake, your rivals are going to hurt you. They are going to take advantage of your mistakes, and that is why it's very important as we're coming into the latter stages of this race, lap 20 of 28. Currently, you've still got a few battles out there. Currently, the fastest lap is currently set by Rimac, who was in P11 on a 1:37.474. But I suspect later on in the race, that's going to get beaten. But again, penalties are going to hurt the drivers, especially the front drivers at the moment. The battle for the points.
Well, Scartrix is now making his pit stop, and we're gonna follow on board to see where he comes out. The Renault of DJ Danny gets past his Alfa Romeo, and that Racing Point going to get past him as well. It's very unorthodox. They might all come out right next to each other. No, they won't. Scartrix on those soft tires. It's gonna have to make up about 3 seconds on those in front if he wants to get onto this podium. Meanwhile, Sir Sharks is starting to make up time on Murphy. He will have DRS out of the hairpin being activated right about now. Fairmoto making his stop, as is Leclerc, both presumably onto the soft tires. Matt's getting into the pit stop as well, and there you see Racing Point of Sir Sharks getting into P2. Scartrix could come alive here in the next 2 or 3 laps. He's only now closed that second. About half a second now is that gap to Murphy in 3rd place. But it'll be interesting here to see if Murphy can, or if Sharks rather, can pull away from the Alfa Romeos. Now his teammate James F1 gets into 5th position. The Red Bulls are just falling down the order. The Toro Rosso now gets ahead of Big Lee, who is currently the lead Red Bull. Hopefully you within that second gap of the Racing Point.
Most certainly is, and as we are already aware, the fact that Scartrix is closing, he has got himself within the DRS detection zone, as you can see already, so he's definitely making the charge. However, will he be able to finish the race on them softs? That's going to be the key question.
He set a fastest sector 1, and he is right on the gearbox of Murphy. Let's see what he's going to elect to do here. Gets a great run out of the hairpin. Surely now Scartrix, see confirmation there as he was in front of him and is now in his wing mirrors. The Haas recovering into 3rd place. Actually, it's now less than half a second from the Racing Point. He's going to get a double helping of DRS. Can he get 2 positions and as many DRS zone sets of purple? Sector 2 could be on for a fastest lap here as well. He'll be hunting down DJ Danny, who is still on relatively fresh medium tires. Scartrix is going to be hunting down that Renault here quite quickly. It's going to be a fight to the end between those two. That one could play out in the last 2 or 3 laps, especially if we have a safety car now at this point in the race. Things are really starting to spread out on track. Closest battle at the moment is actually Liverpool Ewan to James F1, and Scartrix, as you see there, sits a 136.0, so a great lap from him out of the pit lane. That gap ahead to DJ Danny is actually about half a tenth per lap is closing the gap. If I'm doing my math correct, they will be battling almost nearly at the final lap. Danny's going to have to pull out all the stops, don't you think, Kendo, in order to keep that Haas in his wing mirrors and not let him get ahead?
Oh, 100%, because there's 2 questions you've got to ask yourselves here at the moment. Is Scartrix going to be able to hold out on them soft tyres? At what point does his tyres degrade? Those different drivers will perform the tyres, well, wear the tyres out at different levels. The same goes for DJ Danny, considering he's on the mediums. When do they start to hit the cliff? The softs will start to hit the cliff a lot earlier, so that's why at the moment Scartrix is going flat out right now to try and get as close as he can while them tyres are still good. Because as soon as he hits the cliff, DJ Danny will just start to roll away again.
And we've actually lost the McLaren of 08 out of this session. He was actually having himself a great little debut and couldn't quite convert it into a race finish. But as you mentioned before, 2/10 was the gap, that first sector between Danny and Scartrix, and 9/10 is what Scartrix made up in the middle sector. So almost a second is what he has recovered. So right on board with him now. He is sooner or later going to be in the rear view mirrors of the Renault of DJ Danny. He's trying to hang on for the next 4-5 laps and close this one out here at Abu Dhabi with the inaugural race win for the Xbox side of the Invictus Racing League.
IMAX retired.
I believe it was Maniac. The Toro Rosso has retired in the pits.
Certainly is. I don't know why I said Rymac. I could see on the screen it was Maniac. So yes, unfortunately, it looks like this car potentially is coming back out on the track here. However, as we sometimes know, it does pull off to the side. So hopefully that will not trigger the safety car. But we can clearly see, wow, Scartrix is definitely gaining. He's just getting himself to the point of 2-second gap. He is on the hunt. But when will them soft tyres go off? We'll only find out. We'll know when he starts losing that time again.
He's made up about 0.8 of a second just in that lap. But as you mentioned, 4 laps on the soft tires. At what point will they start to curve away? And the gap is actually starting to get a little bit wider between the 2 drivers. DRS didn't quite get in range yet. Right now, DJ Danny starting to live up to his dominance of last season Masters Racing League, and is really putting his thumbprint here at the latter stages of this race. He has had quite the exciting battle today, starting all the way down into 5th position, leading this race twice, disconnecting, coming back, finds himself in the lead once more, but he has one more job to do, and that is get the car home, as he gets a horrible launch out of the chicane there. And now Scartrix is within a second. And Kendo, we could be seeing a nice little battle for the last 2 or 3 laps for the win here at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see in a race. Some really good battles with what will be ending up being league rivals. As I mentioned before, Danny is what was the Masters Racing League champion, so he'll be looking to try and make his mark within Invictus Racing, and let's see if he can keep extending that lead and showing his dominance.
Well, go through the S's here, where tire grip is all too important to the drivers. You actually see Skytrix starting to lose a little bit of time, but gains it back on the straight. So we're starting to hit that point where crossover between time of the mediums and the softs, but Skytrix will have DRS down this straight. Will he possibly look to have a move on to DJ Danny? He goes a little bit defensive, but knows that Haas is just a little bit too far back. But now the gap is closed to about half a second. He gets a great launch out of there. Does the Ferrari-powered Haas. DRS open yet again. Will he have a little look? He's going to do so down the inside, but actually he's going to back out of that one. He had a look, Kendo. Fight another day.
And just as you say that, he has just been hit with a 3-second time penalty because of multiple warnings, and that's going to hurt him. Just bear in mind the fact that if that is the case, with him having that time penalty, he has to try and extend that gap if he's going to try and get in front of Danny. The 3 seconds. My guess now is Skytrix will have to start thinking about consolidating his position now, with Sir Sharks only 8 seconds behind.
Well, you know that Danny's going to be looking at his race director and seeing, right, he has a 3-second time penalty and probably will not risk even fighting the Haas. He knows he has the pace to get to the end of this race as we're currently on the penultimate lap here through the hairpin. Will Skytrix start to close in even more on this run? The gap is 3/10 before DRS. What can he make up in terms of raw pace in that Haas? He's going to have a little look at him. Will he have a go into the chicane? They go wheel to wheel, and he backs out of it just as the last second. He's going to push that Renault around. They actually might have tapped wheels just there for a second, but the Haas getting a great run. Yet again, will like to take the outside line. Danny will be overtaken, but not for long. He holds the inside line and actually gets a little bit loose. And will that open up the opportunity for Skytrix to get away here? That was 5/10 of a second. Remember, Skytrix picking up that 3-second penalty just not too long ago. Meanwhile, James F1 is actually starting to close in on Murphy. 2-lap older tires does Alfa Romeo have in front of us. They might have made a little bit of contact there. Right on board with the racing point. Gonna have a little look at him. Can the racing points stay? Oh, they make contact, and James is around.
Huge
the racing point, who was looking to have a little look at the Alfa Romeo, ends up in a full 360 spin,
which entices the Red Bulls. The sense and blood can be jump James within this final lap. We'll soon find out, as you see on screen. Moto has just got a 3-second time penalty himself. However, he's got a nice 12-second gap, so potentially that will not affect his race.
Meanwhile, our pole sitter Skytrix is looking to convert a win here from pole position, but he needs about 2 seconds of a lead to spread even more, to get himself across the line to finish first. DJ Danny still holding in that 3-second range, doesn't have a single penalty of his own. Sir Shark's not in the conversation. About 9 seconds back as James F1 actually retakes 6th place. Miles and the 2 Red Bulls are falling down the pecking order yet again, as Skytrix actually losing time to the Renault there as we head through the final sector. riding on board with DJ Danny, who, as things stand, should he keep it clean through these final few corners, as we come through the penultimate corner once more for the last time here at Abu Dhabi. Scartrix is going to cross the line in first position, but he won't hold it. Did DJ Danny pick up a penalty?
He must have had a pit lane penalty, because according to his deltas, he only has one warning. So at some point in the pit lane, he has picked up a penalty and has not served it. Because if you look at the deltas,
we've lost miles on the final lap. Scartrix is actually going to come out on top in this race, winning the first ever Xbox F1 IRL Grand Prix here in Abu Dhabi. A great strategy. Saw him take soft tires late on in the race. DJ Danny having almost a mysterious penalty, but it is Scartrix, Danny, and Sharks that make up your podium. Murphy and Alfa Romeo comes in fourth position. Toro Rosso is getting off to a good start on the season. Liverpool Ewan finishing in fifth position. HK and Lee had everything going for them, but they only see themselves in 7th and 8th positions. Primac helping out the Renaults, finishing in 9th. Place driver, I believe, was the Ferrari of Leclerc. So a race of ups and downs for every single team out there, but Scartrix has converted a pole position into a win here at Abu Dhabi. Having interviews later, Kendo, if you could usher them into the party, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm already on it. First
You'd
invite
love to
being
see
Danny.
that. So we are going to look at our final classification for our race around Abu Dhabi. So it is the Haas of Scartrix who wins here tonight. TJ Danny, as we mentioned, had himself a great drive, but Kendo, if you're going to pick a driver of the day, what do you think it is going to be? For my pick, it's probably going to have to go to Murphy, finishing 4th from 19th on the grid.
I would most certainly have to agree with you there. If it wasn't Murphy, it would be, my second choice would have been Danny. But the fact that incredible drive by both of them, but Murphy's just had the slightly more to do, and I'd 100% agree with you that Murphy does deserve that drive of the day.
Well, James F1 as well, starting from 20th, jumping the start, having that drive-through penalty that he couldn't serve under the virtual safety car in the racing point, starting from 20th, finishing in 6th. We even saw him spin at one point on an overtake on the Alfa Romeo, but a good start for the racing points, a 3rd and a 6th position. As far as teams go, as we're still waiting to get a few guys in here, as far as teams go, who do you think was the best team performance? I saw the Red Bulls rather get off to a hot start, but cool off towards the end of the race. Kendo, as far as the team you're looking at, who are you potentially is hoping you could either see continue their success or maybe look to see a little bit more of next week as we head to Spa?
Well, looking at the standings, you've seen the racing points. They are currently in P3 and P6, so really good drives from them. So they're going to be leading your championship, I would assume, based on the points, only just. However, Scartrix does take a lot of points. He takes the maximum amount of points, bear in mind, with winning the race and also taking that fastest lap. So he takes full points for the Haas team. Will his teammate be able to bounce back? Because he's had to do a lot of work on his own here tonight in the Haas. But unfortunately, as you mentioned about the Red Bulls, had a little bit of an incident in the middle of the race. I would fully expect to see them bounce back next race. Well,
we have our drivers in the party now. Scartrix first off, congratulations on the win. The call to go long on the mediums and pit on the softs, was that something you just came out of nowhere, or was that something you were thinking the whole way through?
No, it was always the plan. I've always known the softs at the end are really quick, and yeah, it was. I wish I didn't pit earlier on my first stint, but yeah, it was always going to be the plan.
And just before I continue with this, make sure you guys are sharing your voice. Forgot to mention that originally.
There we go.
Yeah. But no, we had, I think it was 12 lead changes that I counted. What, for the three of you, I guess you can answer in the order that you finished. What goes through your mind when you have that many lead changes in that close of a race, when at one point, first to ninth was within 2.5 seconds of each other?
Well, for me, it's just to get past, or just if they're faster than me, just try and stick behind them. But yeah, it was an interesting battles there.
And Danny, we'll take this one over to you. You had a very up and down race, qualifying 5th position, and converting that into 2nd position. You actually lost connection halfway through. A great recovery drive from yourself. What's going through your head when you rejoin the session and see that you're now in 6th place when at one point you were leading?
I mean, I didn't expect to. I expected to lose 2nd and 3rd because I knew they were quite close behind me, but I didn't expect the rest of them to be so close behind. And obviously, the AIs aren't quick, so I think I was done for a minute maybe, and I lost. I think it was 7 seconds, so that's a lot of time to lose. But then obviously I managed to fight my way back with a bit of luck from the Red Bulls colliding, but that definitely helped. But yeah, it was just about I knew I had the pace because obviously in this league the quality is high, so we're all very close to each other in terms of pace. Like the first stint I was probably the quickest, and then it was just about obviously maintaining that lead, but at the end I couldn't do it, obviously with Scar on a lot faster tyres.
And me and Kendo were thinking that with Scartrick's 3-second penalty, what kind of penalty were you carrying? Was it a pit stop penalty that you just didn't serve?
Is that for me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not know I had a penalty.
You didn't have a penalty.
Okay.
That's why I thought I lost it on when I was going across the line, but I don't understand how I gained about 2 seconds in like a sector.
Well, this is the thing. So I had it when I rejoined. So when you were closing me down, you were 4 tenths behind me when you were at the start of the straight, and I was halfway down the straight. So
yeah, I had that as well.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't. So did you have a 3-second time penalty?
I did, but it was a very questionable one. But yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. Because I definitely finished closer than. I was probably about a second behind you. I just assumed you kept it clean because it didn't say you had any penalties when I asked Jeff, but Jeff wasn't really helpful.
Like I said, because Scartrix was he picked up his time penalty relatively near the end, which was why during the commentary we were asking, did yourself have a time penalty? And according to our the race director, it only said you had one warning out of the whole race, which completely threw us by surprise. We were fully expecting you to win the race according to that, which is why we've asked the question about the time where you felt you had that time penalty.
I think that's just the F1 game being the F1 game there. But no, I definitely didn't have a time penalty. I only had that one warning from the battle with HK, I believe, at the left-right chicane. So I didn't get any other warnings. So I think that's just me obviously leaving and rejoining. That's probably just bugged the game out. So I don't know.
Well, Sharks
Yo.
coming in third place. I mean, your teammate James actually had himself quite the day out there, but for yourself, a great drive to get onto the podium after a bunch of chaos. We actually didn't have a full safety car to really bring anybody back into it at all. It was really up to your driving that really got you back onto the podium.
To be fair, mine was a bit of a recovery drive after that first stint. I clipped my wing onto the back of Scartrix, just underestimating Virtual because I thought he'd be going in the pits as well. So had to dive into the pits, change my wing, and I got jumped by both Red Bulls. So at that point, it was just recovery and do what I can to get that P3. Is buzzing after coming out at the back of that train that we had. Like, what was it, like first to 7th, first to 6th? I had a quick little battle with Danny, but I'm a bit more reserved than these guys. When the train is built like that, I just try and save ERS, save tyres, and I wait on a bit later. But I know some of these guys are a bit more eager than me. So no, P3, happy with that. With to say I damaged my wing and then got jumped by both Red Bulls, so to come back through and then fighting Murphy through the last 8 or 9 laps. It was good.
Well, on your end, you probably had a better view of the two Red Bulls colliding. We didn't actually get a great camera angle of it. What exactly happened through the chicane splits the two DRS sections?
To be fair, as I was coming through, they were already speeding off as I'd come through. I just kind of saw the back end of it, but I know a lot of the guys are pretty racy, pretty aggressive. So I think it was just a combination of
I think it's a side pod.
No, I was right, but I've got recording of it. The HK just lost it. He coming out the corner, he just put too much throttle down, and I had to avoid it, and then that's how Danny got through again.
I had a great start. I loved that off the line.
I just had a load
That
of
was
wheels,
good, man.
It was
I absolutely flew past. But then like we were all so close. I knew I had the pace to be with you guys, but once I damaged my wing, I had to kind of just recover, and I was on the mediums for way longer than I wanted to be on the second stint, losing time. But I'll take it.
Alrighty. Well,
Most points as well.
Scartrix, congratulations, winning the first ever race on IRL Xbox Round 1. And we will see you guys at Spa next week. For everybody tuning in, next Sunday, Spa is what is on the menu. We head to Belgium, and that should be quite a race. You three fancy any of your chances around there?
Not at all. It's my worst track.
It's
If I
one of my
can
top
get-
tracks.
If I can get in P7 or higher, I'll be buzzing. I hate that track.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for
Cheers.
stopping in, and for everybody else listening at home, thank you very much for watching. Like we said, we will be back next Sunday at 9:30 at Spa around Belgium, and we will see you then.